So here's my first part of my example in model for SketchNote. So when I looked at my review, I saw that there were three big sections. There was Islam and religion and the rise of the caliphates, that first section. Networks of exchange, the trade routes, was the second section, and then decentralized Europe is the third, which we're doing on Monday/Tuesday. So this is my model for the first two sections. So because there are three sections on my review, I divided my sketch notes into three sections. So the first section is Islam and the rise of the caliphates. And so I tried to represent some of the ideas in the first section as far as like commonalities between all three religions of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Like they all start in the Middle East. There's one God. I have this little symbol that separates Islam and this idea that Muhammad is the final prophet, so the final revelations of God. Some key beliefs like the 5 pillars, the faith, praying 5 times a day, Ramadan and fasting, charity, that's a money sign, I know it looks small, making the pilgrimage, the Hajj. I've got, 3 symbols, so Judaism comes first, Christianity is second, then Islam and their holy text tied into my images. That these two religions are different from Judaism in that they spread through trade and missionaries, where in Judaism it's less of a religion that spreads because you're born Jewish through your mother's side and with lower rates of conversion. I've got this idea of the caliphate where Islam and government are combined with both government and religious rule as well as the leader. We talked about that in our notes. And how this term specifically applies to Islamic rule. I've got my Abbasid Caliphate shaded, and how Islam spread in these different areas. So spreading this way towards India through conquest, that's a sword. The Delhi of Sultanate, the role of Sufis, I've got drawn here, and then over here I have what Sufis are. Then another section of my review, it asks you to look at the Mamluk Turks and the Seljuk Turks. So for that one, I just decided to make a quick little chart. Mamluks being in Egypt, with a slave military, the Seljuk Turks' impact being spreadish of Turkish language, and the Delhi of Sultanate being the group, the conquest group that spread Islam into India, and how it created the conflict between Hinduism and Islam. That was in our Nearpod. I've also got the Delhi of Sultanate coded here on my map just to give me a visual cue of where that's going on. And we talked about how now this looks like Pakistan and why Pakistan is a Muslim country. I've got my golden age represented here. I outlined it in gold to kind of symbolize that. And then I've got some key innovations around the outside, like the House of Baghdad, Arabic numbers, mosque architecture. This one, since it's a little hard to read, it says Astrolab, but my symbols here are that you use an astrolabe to look at the stars and the celestial bodies to figure out how to sail better. And then down here, I know it's kind of hard to tell, I tried to draw a shot in smallpox, so smallpox inoculations is one of the advancements. Nasid is a person that is on your review. He's the one that we talked about for advancements in trigonometry and figuring out the planetary rotation, and how he was one of the first to decide that the Earth actually revolves around the sun instead of the other way around. And then these are actually flaps that would open up. So on the inside, I'm going to do decentralized Europe. But on the back of my sketch notes, I have this for my trading networks. So I've got my Trans-Saharan trade routes, my innovations like the camel caravan and the saddles right here. I've got it labeled. I've got some of my key trade cities, so Cairo, Timbuktu. My little dots right here represent the salt, so you can see where the salt was. I've got my gold. I've got my empire of Mali, because on your test review it says, like, what is the role of the Mali Empire? So they're connecting these trade routes. I have spread of Arabic coming from the Arabian Peninsula as the Arab Muslim merchants spread, and they also are the ones that bring the camels, so that's why this is drawn again. I have Mansa Musa, my king of Mali, who made the pilgrimage to Mecca, and so a result of that being he brought back ideas about Islam and money and scientific innovations. I have my Swahili city-states right here. And I put new language to remind myself that that's what unites these city-states together, right? And that's brought by the Arab merchants who come down into East Africa, combining with Bantu to make a new language. I've got my monsoon winds represented, my other technologies that allowed trade to happen. And then I've got my, big trading zones. So China trading zone, India trading zone, and my Arab trading zone, and some of the luxury goods that are within each zone from our simulation. Notice I didn't write everything, I just wrote some key goods. And I wrote them in green because green reminds me of money, and luxury goods would make a lot of money. And then I've got some other of my big trading cities that were in our simulation, like Calicut and Malacca, for example. And we talked about how Malacca was key because it was an Islamic state in Indonesia that also was able to tax all of these goods coming through the strait, and that the Malay sailors were responsible for bringing bananas. I should have drawn bananas onto my sketch notes. So here's an example of what mine look like in case you want to know what yours could look like. It doesn't have to be pictures all of the time. Notice some of it was charts. If you would like to do flashcards instead, if that works for you, that's okay. Just talk to me today during class. But sketch notes are important because they're a way for you to organize your notes in the way that you process and see, but it's also a way to take content and put it into a different format. And if you can do that, that means you understand it. Versus just answering questions. That doesn't necessarily mean that you can tell the story or explain it to somebody else. And that's what SketchNotes allows you to do, is to be able to show yourself and others that you can tie all of these ideas together and that you can put them in another format, which shows that you have a higher level of understanding. And scientifically, it shows that it works better for studying in brain and memory retention in your brain.